how's it going, everyone? We're on episode 4 of Club versus County. I'm in Spiddal in Galway with Antaine O'Laoi. Antaine, how are you keeping?
I'm going well now.
I know you were playing with Galway at the start of the year. You've previously played for Galway back in 2019 and with Championship, and you're back playing with your club now. How is your season going?
Yeah, no, it's going well now. Picked up a little knock there last week, got a bang in the ribs, but I'm coming the right end of it now. I'm back training, so yeah, all is good.
And just I suppose the reason of this series is to compare club versus county. And what would you say, in your words, is the biggest difference between playing your club versus playing with your county?
Yeah, there are a lot of differences, but I'd probably say the biggest one is probably your conditioning and your fitness levels. Because one, you need to be able to get up and down the pitch, and you need to be able to track your man. You need to be fit enough to actually get on the ball. And if you're if your conditioning levels aren't up to that level, you know, it's going to negatively impact your skills. It's going to negatively impact your strength. So it really does stem into every other aspect of the game. So it's probably the biggest one for me.
I suppose you were on the FBD League panel at the start of the year, and you got dropped after that. How did you kind of take that setback at the moment, and were you told specific things to work on? Now, I'm not going to ask you what the specific things were, but were you told to go away, we'll work on these things, we'll have a look at you, or what way were you told?
Well, I just think, yeah, I was involved at the start of the year. Like, I was called in later on, so it was like I was involved with the development panel, so it was essentially a B team, and I did okay with them, played a few games with them, but even to that squad I was called in late. They're actually kind of stuck on numbers for one game, and then that's how I got in. But I did okay, so I eventually got training with the seniors. But yeah, I think I was playing catch up throughout the whole year. Like, even as I mentioned there, just the conditioning levels, like, they were up to decent level, but for senior, like, you have to be absolutely flying fit. And I just felt I had to make up too much ground when I was training with them. And I felt my own. I thought I did okay. But as for specifically, was I told anything? No, but I just felt that myself. That that was definitely an area that I needed to get better.
Yeah, you previously were on the panel in 2019 and you played Championship, and we were just talking before we started recording that you kind of picked up a couple of niggly injuries that kind of set you back long term. You were saying that you were kind of pushing through injuries to kind of keep playing. Did that set you back further in the long run because you were so focused on playing now that you weren't looking at a few months down the road, and that kind of led you to having a few more long-term injuries?
Possibly, yeah, because I played in 2019. I tore a ligament in my shoulder, so I had to get surgery on that. So I came back into the fold, and they had already started the league. And again, I was playing catch-up, and I was probably more outcome-based. I was trying to, get onto the starting team, even get onto the bench and start playing, as opposed to just focusing on the process and then just becoming an overall better player, get my conditioning levels up and just not putting pressure on myself. And if I'd been more focused on my process and just getting up to speed, as opposed to saying I want to get back onto the team, I definitely would have been in a better position. And even when I did come back, I was probably pushing too fast too soon. I hurt my back, and I was kind of playing through injury with that. I hurt my ankle. So yeah, it was just putting too much pressure on myself too soon. And yeah, I probably paid the price of it. Yeah.
I suppose coming through those injuries and learning a lot about your body, is that what kind of drove you going into your coaching? Because you have your own coaching page now as well, AOL Health and Fitness on Instagram and TikTok. Is that what kind of pushed you down that route, that you want to learn more about why these injuries were happening, or was it always an area of interest for you?
So it was always an area of interest for me, but it was probably more to put my own game ahead. Like, even when I was young, I was really, really into sport. I was more probably involved with soccer when I was younger, but it was always to put my own game ahead. But probably around that stage, and even when I got drafted from the county team, I actually had more free time on my hands, so I could actually focus, and focus on helping other people. And even when I was involved at that, the top level, you're the best strength and conditioning, nutritionists, all that kind of stuff, psychologists, I still made so many mistakes. Like, I made so many mistakes during that time. So even me in that setup, the county setup, I was making mistakes. I was thinking, well, what mistakes are the club player doing? So that's kind of, essentially how this came about, was just me realizing and wanting to help the club player and even the county player trying to get onto that panel.
I suppose, I'm only a junior club player, as I say, and you're working with a lot of people as well online. What are the most common mistakes that you're seeing people making it. Is there some common mistakes you're still seeing everywhere?
Yeah, I suppose like there's probably like two different types of players. There's the one lad that's like super committed and he's trying to get all his gym sessions, conditioning sessions, speed sessions, and sometimes, especially in season, you need to tell that guy to pull back a bit here. Like they might actually be doing too much in the gym, loading up too much, and then that's negatively impacting your performances.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the other guy maybe that wants to like save themselves for training sessions and matches, and oftentimes the gym side and the extra conditioning, whatever it is, can go out the window.
Mm-hmm.
And you know the gym side, if done correctly, that should actually enhance your performances and even reduce the chances of you picking up an injury. So there's probably two different players on different ends of the spectrum and can fall into different traps.
Yeah, that's I think that's in every level of every grade of every club. There's the people who do too much, there's people who don't do enough, and then there's obviously the people who probably are getting it right, but they're like that. They're probably following some form of plan or maybe involved in underage setups and that. And so just to touch on Galway, look at they're getting to 2 All-Ireland finals in the last 3 years. You were there at the start this year, and you're there in 2019. What are the major differences in the group as a whole did you find in certain players? Now, look, I'm not going to be asking about managers or anything like that, but was there kind of a shift from 2019 to this year?
It's hard to pinpoint one thing. Like I suppose every year the standards are getting higher. Whether it's your overall conditioning, skill levels, or whatever. I think the squad they have now is really strong. Like if you look not only at the starting 15, but from 16 to 35, like the subs, the lads that are coming off the bench are really strong, and maybe that is the main difference recently. Like, but it is hard. I mean, it is hard to pinpoint one thing. Like I do think like when I was involved as well, that was a really strong squad as well, and a lot of the same players were there too. But that might be the main thing. Just that overall squad is just so competitive there at the moment.
Yeah, you obviously see. I think the results speak for themselves. Just knocking over the line is unfortunate. And I lived in Galway for 4 years. I was rooting for them in both finals. As well, you touched on there, you played a lot of soccer underage, and you were involved with Galway United. You played League of Ireland. You were playing with Ireland underage. When did you decide to make the switch that you were going to go playing Gaelic instead?
Yeah, it was. Well, see, when I was actually playing for Galway United, it was a bit of a mad year. I used to train in the mornings, and then I go and I was doing the leaving cert that year.
Right.
So I used to go to school. I started school at 11:30, and then I would do that. And it was a hectic year, to be honest. And I was training. You're training 5-6 times a week. You have a match then at the weekend, so it was full on. And I just might have actually fallen out of love for a bit, just because of how much I had to like manage my schoolwork and being in a professional setup as well, between the soccer. And I got my college course in Limerick, and I decided to actually go to college. Now it would have been really difficult to be traveling up and down from Limerick, be going to college, and then in the mornings, like I couldn't be just starting college at 12:30. Like it would have been too much. So I decided to go to college, and I suppose just with the GAA, it would have been easier to manage. And to be honest, I come from a GAA background. Like all my brothers and sisters play GAA. That was always the first love. So I probably just came back to that.
Yeah, and obviously your brother has played for Galway as well, and as you have a little, as you're saying, family oriented a sport. I suppose just looking at the way the GAA or county scene is set up at the moment. I've been in a professional sport. How different did you find? I know you were 18 at the time, but looking at working with a League of Ireland club professional setup, how far away is an intercounty setup?
I actually don't think there's that much in the difference at all. No, to be honest, like, just the only thing with the soccer is that we would literally we'd be on Monday, Tuesday, we'd have a break on Wednesday, Thursday, play a game on Saturday, and then have a weekend session as well. So there's just more trainings. But as for the S&C side, I'd probably say there's more gym work in the GAA aspect. Like there wouldn't be as much collective gyms and that aspect. There wouldn't be as much of an emphasis. Now, I was playing when I was involved with the Galway setup when I was like Galway United. I was like 16 to 18. So that was a good few years ago. So I'm sure it is changed and they are putting more emphasis on that side. But yeah, I suppose that would be the biggest difference.
And just you touched on there that you nearly fell out of love with the sport. And when you're younger and there's a lot of pressure on, you're doing leaving cert there and everything. Would you have any tips for any younger players now who maybe they're falling out of love with just playing with their club? That they're getting outside pressure from, maybe it's at home, maybe it's from managers, other players, that there's all this pressure and then they're not enjoying the sport. Would you have any tips for people like that who maybe once loved it are now falling out of love because of outside pressures? Do you have any kind of tips you use to kind of fall back in love with playing sport in total?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I suppose it's actually just remember why you're actually playing the game. You're playing the game. It is a game at the end
Yeah.
of the day. Like it's there to be enjoyed. And if you're not enjoying it, then what's the point? And sometimes we can beat ourselves up so much about, you know, a bad result or a bad performance. But you do have to just use that feedback and look at your game and be like, okay, what can I do better? But you have to move on.
Yeah.
Like, you have to remember that it is a game. You're meant to enjoy it. And
Yeah.
if you're not enjoying it, then what's the point?
Yeah, I think sometimes in GAA people revolve a lot of their life around it, but it is only a part of it. It's a hobby. Like, we're not getting paid to be different now. You're playing with Galway United, or you get transferred to Liverpool or something. You're getting millions, but like that, it's something that we should be enjoying, and the enjoyment can come out of it when you're playing at a higher level because you're looking at results. You're focusing, results-driven teams and stuff like that. But bring it back to the why you play in the first place. Playing with your buddies, playing with your brothers, playing with your friends. And having pints after, I think, is a big part of it.
There's always a space of that as well, like, you know, like that team bonding, like, as well, like, so that has to be done. That is a part of it.
Exactly. I suppose just to finish up the first question here, it's a breezy day again, and with another left-footed kicker, we're going to try to kick a few end lines. What side do you want to go from?
What side will we go from? Go from this side.
Perfect. Right, onto that. We're on the end line by about 10 metres in from the sideline. Good bit of a breeze here. You're going to go left foot.
Left foot, yeah.
We've behind our Hawkeye stood up behind the goals as well. I'll let you set us off.
Yeah, no worries. It's not much of a run up here, but we'll see what we can do.
It's near side, is it?
Stay near side, yeah.
As I always do.
We'll need Hawkeye on that.
We'll check it to be safe. As I always do, I'll go with the first shot. I'll copy it. I'll try wind this yoke up and see where we go. Wind's not that strong anyway.
Not that strong. Overestimating the wind here, guys.
That's the end. I'm going to retire that left foot now after this series.
We're going to go inside left again. I don't have an outside the right in my locker, so this is all you're getting.
All I'm picking is left footers for this fucking series. That's the one. I'm going to go outside the right.
It's not bad.
Oh, fuck yeah. 0 from 2. One more each.
2 from 2. Nah, inside I'd say again.
0 from 3. Yet to get anyone to score from the end line in the series. Pressure's on. I'm telling you,
This
more
is
pressure.
This is the one.
More pressure than playing a game. Right,
not bad.
0 from 6.
Here we go.
Right, so we're still waiting for someone to get that end line shot, but I don't think we're ever going to be taking a free kick from there during the game. Just as you were talking off camera that you take a lot of frees for your club, and you had a good bit of advice you got from Michael Meehan. What was it that he said to you when you're practicing frees?
Yeah, so it was just he was saying to actually give yourself a scenario every time you take a free. So we're playing Kerfin at the weekend. Imagine when I come down to the pitch now, I'll imagine that we're 1 point down against Kerfin, and it just gives you a scenario that when it actually comes to the game, it almost feels like you've been in this position before.
Yeah, and it was Luke Loughlin said in the last episode about having purposeful practice that. Like, it's all well and good here, come down having the crack. I've said it in every episode because when I kick it wide, we're only messing here. When I kick it over, I'm class. But like, there's a time and place to having the crack and hitting end lines and sidelines and that. But like, having those scenarios in your head and putting a bit of pressure on you as well, and only kicking a certain amount of balls. Like, when you're practicing free kicks, how many kicks would you take?
It depends really. I would say really, I'd normally go maybe 15 to 20, and I'd actually keep record of what I've scored. Like, you're better off practicing 15 to 20 shots, high quality frees, than taking 30 or 40 where you're not really going through your routine and just pissing about with it. To be honest, like, so just quality with your actual practice.
Yeah, and there's a lot of common themes coming up in these episodes, and I think that goes to show that to get to the top, there's no magic secret, there's no magic pill. It's doing the same things over and over again until you're really, really comfortable and good at it. And people always ask questions about, like, from free kick takers, or what's your technique? You have to find your own.
Yeah.
Okay, how did you change your technique over the years, or have you always had the exact same?
I've had it for probably the good 10 years anyways. I would have the same technique.
I know actually you played with my former housemate Tyler in Australia. He had a lovely, like holding an egg in the bowl. Some people do funny techniques, but just to talk on that, you were playing football in Australia. How was that experience?
Yeah, it was brilliant. Now, to be honest, I really enjoyed it, and I was surprised at the standard of it because so many people are going out there. The standard was actually really high. Not only I was playing for a team, Gary Owen. Shout out to the Gary Owen boys. But yeah, the standard was just so high, and even like the opposition, the other teams we were playing in, the standard had just gotten so high out there. So I actually really enjoyed it, and I probably went out there maybe with the mindset of not taking it as seriously as I did. But then once you get involved with it, you just can't help yourself. But yeah, I loved it.
Did you try AFL when you were out there? Did you give it a go?
No, I didn't. I just found it was hard. It was hard to manage everything. I was already, as you said, like playing the football and the work and everything. It was just hard to get everything done.
Was there many Australians who played at the Gaelic football then?
There was one fella alright on our squad, Brad, great lad. But yeah, he was the only Australian. But like there are Australians on other teams as well. Like, but we had one guy.
And did you ever do a J1, or is Australia the only other place you played football?
Australia is the only place that I play football.
Yeah,
that's the only other place.
Yeah, and I suppose there's a lot of people are going to Australia and that, and there's a good community out there. How did you find that experience of traveling to Australia?
It was great. Like I was got experience doing something else. Like it's such a good lifestyle. Like I loved it. Like a lot of my friends went over there as well, and I got to know so many people as well. A lot of them Gary Owen lads. Like I got really close to. So I loved it, and I would recommend anyone, if you get the chance, just to go. Like it is a great experience.
Definitely worth it. And you had said that you were a teacher before, and you left that to go to the full online training. How was that transition for you, going from that steady job to doing something that's a little bit you're not quite sure how it's going to go?
Yeah, well, like I suppose it probably wasn't such a huge start because I was doing the two. So like for the past, I've been doing the online course since 2021. So really for the past 3 years, I have been managing the teaching and the coaching side of it as well. But as you said, like it was, and I suppose it took me a while to actually make that decision. Was I actually enjoy the teaching? It wasn't that I was like unhappy. I did like the job, but I would say this is my passion. I love the coaching side of it as well. So yeah, I've been full time in this for maybe 2.5 months now, so I really enjoyed it ever since.
Yeah, and you're flying it. I know you for a while. We've been talking over and back the last, say, for over a year or so now. I suppose just with online and someone who's in similar scenario to me, how do you navigate like the negative comments, negative feedback online? Because look, I think we can't just all say, "Oh, online is great," and you're going to post online and you're going to get 1 million followers. There is going to be that negativity, and especially when you're playing sports as well. How do you kind of work around that? Because look, I think everyone gets it. Yeah,
well, that's everyone gets it, but like it's almost, I suppose, if you're getting negative comments, stuff like that, you're probably getting more of a reach. So it's probably a good indicator that you're actually doing all right if you're actually getting them negative comments. But I suppose I got told one thing before: you're never going to get abused by someone that's doing better than you. So that's how I would frame it.
Have you got anything in games or anything even funny during games or anything?
You'd normally get the usual stuff of oh yeah, stick that up on TikTok or whatever. I did a championship series, all right. It was just going through every day, and I made a mistake in one of the matches, and your man got on top of me. He's like, 7 days you've been practicing for this game, and I'm like, yeah. So yeah, you get that. It's funny. It's funny, to be honest. Yeah. I
think sometimes like when people come with it, like slagging in a way, if it's not too personal and serious, you have to be able to see the funny side of it. I get the same, like, oh, put that on TikTok, or where's your cameras now? And then if you score, then you're like, oh, that's going to shut up on TikTok, and you're able to have a bit of banter with it.
It's banter. It's banter. It is funny. Like, to be honest, I always laugh at anything I get asked. At least they're following the content, and that's one thing to look at.
I know. I said the person who I'm on about asked me not to say his name anymore. We're playing a game anyway, and your man was kicking the lights out. It was in a Carol final, and walked past me, shouldered me, and said, "Stick that on your fucking TikTok." At this stage, we were getting bet. We're already deflated. I was like, "Oh, there's no need for that." That's fucking hilarious.
yeah. No, it's good. It's good.
So just to finish up now on this section here. We're out in between the 13 and the 21. I've let you set the contest. You're going to go with your left foot, as this is probably your favourite place to take a shot. So we'll take 3 more each and see where you get on from here.
No worries, man. Pressure's on.
So this be a high percentage shot for you from this angle.
Will this be a high percentage?
Yeah.
Probably like say from here, like a 60, maybe a 70%.
So not a gimme by any means.
No, it wouldn't be a gimme, like, but
testing the waters anyway.
Sure, yeah.
It looks an awful distance out. This pitch is fucking huge.
Yeah.
Score. Great score.
Yeah, I'll bring it in a bit though, maybe if you want.
Still a few yards. Every
Yeah,
good
no,
free
I know,
kick
yeah.
does.
We'll bring it on. No, it's no.
No, sure. That's the gauntlet set now.
Yeah.
I'll try a left foot just for the angle we're at.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, you
Don't
had that.
have that distance in the left. 1-0.
Oh, she never came in.
Then just come in. There is an awful breeze there going down into that corner. It is. It's nice for a right footer nearly.
Yeah, it's a straight kick. There's not much of a curl. The way the wind is going.
Try instep.
Yeah, oh yeah, you could do.
Ah, fuck! You didn't know curling that at all.
Got it. Like I never take a right-footed shot standing. You know, I'd always be better off taking it on the run. Yeah, it's fair enough. All right, it's fair. It feels fair on the right.
Yeah, it seems an awful distance out. I'm gonna go. I'll try outside the boot, just from the angle that we're at. There you go.
There you go.
1-0.
There you go.
Right, we got one score each there. No, there is a good bit of a breeze here, to be fair, and it wasn't a guinea by any means. I just noticed when you were taking your free kicks, you had quite a breath-focused technique. Was that something you always had, getting the breath and heart rate down, or is that something relatively new?
Yeah, it's probably, well, I've been doing it for about 7-8 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I have been doing it for a while. It is just about, I think the main thing is just getting that heart rate down, and it's almost like a rhythm, so that I'm just doing the exact same process each time. I find it useful.
Yeah. So just with that and rhythm and processes, and we've talked about processes already, do you have any processes for mindset?
Mindset, I suppose, it's just knowing, I suppose, as I talked about before, it used to be like outcome driven. It used to be about getting onto the team, you know, if I want to get onto the bench of the team, win the match or whatever. Whereas now I just focus on the process, and as long as you know that you've prepared as best as you can, I just tick off my gym sessions, my speed sessions, training sessions, you know, nutrition, whatever it is. As long as I focus on my process and I know that I've done everything I can, you do get a lot of confidence from that. And I just focus on that aspect, and you know, it takes away the pressure of the result, because you know, you can't control if you win or lose a game. In a sense, you can contribute to it, but a lot of things can happen, and you know, just focusing on the process, you'll actually get a better outcome.
And just you're saying you're ticking off those things, is that something you mentally tick off, or do you physically tick off? Or are you a man for journaling?
I would journal as well. Like I would plan my week in advance. So I would say always on a Sunday I look at my team schedule. So if we're training on a Tuesday and a Thursday and a match on a Sunday or whatever, so you would actually plan ahead. Okay, I'm going to do an upper body on this day, full body, speed session before this training session, extra conditioning, whatever it is. Like I'd actually structure that on the Sunday generally, and then just making sure that I do that and just tick off the box. I wouldn't say I have a checklist or anything, though. It is more mental.
And was that something you always did with planning your weeks in advance, or did that come with growing up playing in like professional soccer and into intercounty scene, or is that something you always found, I like having this structured routine for the week?
Yeah, I'm trying to think now. Probably, I suppose when you're in, say, if you're in with Galway or whatever, that's done for you. So you know what days you're training and what days you're gymming. And then I suppose when I was back with the club, then no one really is doing that for you, so you have to do that yourself. But probably have been doing it the past few years.
Yeah. And so just with like in terms of nutrition, and then that's all done for you in the county, how important did you find it was to learn the reasons behind why you're doing all these things and why you're eating these things at certain times, and obviously leading into going down this route yourself. Were you always kind of asking or trying to learn stuff from the nutritionists and S&C coaches? And I'm sure there are people in there who don't give a toss at all. They're like,
Yeah,
right, tell me what to do, tell me what to eat, and I'm sound. Were you always kind of looking to understand why the reasons were behind everything were?
100%. Yeah, because like you need. For me, it's important to actually know, as you said, like the reason behind it and why it's important, and then you can, because like you're not exactly going to take on everything someone
Yeah,
says. Like it could be bad advice, depending on the person. So I do like knowing the reason why. At least if there's evidence to back up that reason, they're
yeah.
probably, it's easier to go with that.
Yeah, I suppose I think most intercounty teams have sports psychologists now as well. Was that something that you found beneficial? Did you work with them when you were in with Galway United and Galway? Did you find that was useful?
Yeah, there were with Galway, and it is. Yeah, yeah. We didn't have. I don't think we had one with Galway United in soccer, but with Galway football we did. And it's nothing revolutionary,
Yeah,
but like it is. It just gives you certain tricks, almost like resets. Sometimes if you make a mistake, small things like that can help. But like as you said, like some people will go out and they say like it's nonsense. They don't agree with it. Like
mm.
they're already in the zone. They don't need that extra
Yeah,
stuff. And fair play to them. Like,
yeah.
but I would be someone that would take on things like that. And if you can find little tricks that can help you perform to your best, that like I'd always take that on board.
I suppose just like we're saying there, messing like just say you miss a free in a game, someone says to you, stick it up on your TikTok. What is your mental reset? Like not let that affect you and like right, I'm going to score the next free I get because I know I've put the work in. What do you use yourself?
Yeah, it is about sometimes even like just calming down. It was just from his free standpoint. I think that's why if you have your free kick technique and your process, you just go back to that and you just
Mm.
calm yourself down, go back to your process, and you're trying. Your last shot shouldn't affect you.
Yeah,
Like even statistically, like it's not. You're not more likely to miss. But yeah, it is. If you have a process, if you have a routine of doing things, you just come back to that, and it's just you can use that as a default.
yeah. I suppose like we are in your home club here and Spiddal there in the background. How has your journey been from growing up playing underage at Spiddal to now probably one of the senior players? I know you're still in your 20s now, not calling you old, but probably people do look up to you and stuff. How would you kind of find that transition from being a young player, breaking on to Galway panels to now being kind of the leader for your club team?
Yeah, I suppose it's probably just trying to give an example, and the best example you can give. Yes, you can like be driving lads on and talking to lads and stuff, but I actually think just setting an example of actually how you actually go about things,
Mm.
how you are with your gym work, your speed work, how you are in training, the intensity you bring to training. That's the biggest thing you can actually bring to a team or as a leader. Like so, yeah, just making sure you're putting in your best performances and stuff, and then you can add the extra stuff if you want on top of that.
And you were saying you had come down from senior to intermediate this year. How have you found the quality been from playing senior last year to playing intermediate this year? Is there a big step in quality?
Yeah, there is. You have to say that, a senior is, that you do get the top players playing in that, but intermediate is still a very high level, and I think this teams are always getting stronger. Like
Mm.
even a lot of the probably favorites this year in intermediate, they were all beaten.
Okay.
So even like the so-called weaker teams in intermediate have definitely come up a lot. So the standard of intermediate as a whole has come up, and even over the past few years, they've reduced the number of teams that were in senior.
Yeah.
So there used to be 20, from what I remember, like 4 or 5 years ago, and now
Jeez.
there's only 16. So
It's a
that's
lot.
4 extra senior teams that have come down to intermediate.
Yeah.
So that's definitely brought the standard up.
That's a lot of teams for Championship 20. So I
Mm.
know Leitrim are doing something, their neighbours there, they're bringing it down to, I think 3 teams are getting relegated from senior and intermediate this year. I think they're bringing it down to 8, if I'm not
Age is
mistaken.
it, yeah.
Like that, just to make it more competitive. And it's
Mm.
not a team just surviving on the last day of the year.
Mm.
It's interesting that the championships are always developing and evolving, and rules are always evolving and stuff like that. What have you found as a free kick taker and mark taker? Have you found the mark beneficial? Do you like it? Are you for it? Or are you against it?
It has its advantages. It probably promotes more kick passing inside.
Mm.
For teams to go direct. I do understand the reason why, but it probably does take out some goals because like lads will get a ball inside and they'll just take the mark, and there could have been a half a goal chance
Yeah.
on, and there is that aspect that there's probably positive and benefits to both. So I'd be impartial, let's say.
Yeah, as I meant to ask you this earlier, and it's just after popping back into my head there. When you were playing with Galway Start this year, you had played a few games in the Dome, and you're probably training on heavy pitches and then going into playing on an AstroTurf, which is high speed, high intensity. How do you find your body react to that? 'Cause I meant to ask people this before and just never got a chance. Did you find going from slogging and dogging to high speed had an impact on the body?
You probably do have a few more scratches, even just from the AstroTurf, a few more bangs, but I adapted okay with it. I didn't actually, to be honest, I actually really enjoy playing in the Dome because, as you said, you're used to the slop,
Yeah.
the rain, the muck, and then when you're actually going into the Dome where it's fast paced, it's good for forwards, anyways.
Yeah.
Fast ball, fast pace. I enjoy playing on it, to be honest.
And what are your thoughts now that those winter leagues have been scrapped? FAD league is gone now. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't know. Obviously, they like see with the county players, like they have so many fixtures.
Yeah.
If you look at club level and then going into county, so obviously they're trying to shorten the season.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose if you're a fringe player or a player like trying to get into the squad, it's probably not great because like an FPD is a great opportunity for lads that weren't on the panel last year or maybe that were on the squad but maybe not getting as much game time. It is a great opportunity for them to show what they can do. So it's probably positive and benefits, positive and negatives.
Yeah, I suppose you look at the college players as well. They're in the middle of Sigerson and stuff like that. And if you're playing, was it like two games in a week? A lot of the times there.
Oh, definitely.
It's tough. And so you said that you went to college in Limerick. Did you play down in UL when you were down there, or were you focusing solely on your college?
I was in Mary I, so I was doing teaching. So we played in the trench. We actually won this, so it's like the second tier competition. But no, we had a good team. We won it one year, and I definitely have good memories as well playing football down there.
Yeah, it's important like to play on different teams. You're saying you're playing college, you play with your club, obviously you're playing in Australia, playing county. Like I think, as we're saying, like it's not our whole lives GAA, but it is good to kind of have friends. Like if you're going to Dublin somewhere, you have a group chat. You can say, "Oh, is anyone about?" or stuff like that. It's always good to kind of have the contacts. Now you're saying that I know Fintan Cooney used to be from here playing with the underdogs and like these different experiences and stuff like that. I think it is great to kind of have these connections and have friends all over the country playing the sport that we love so much.
Yeah, it's the easiest way to get to know people. Honestly, like even as I said, like when I went out to Australia through training sessions, like all my closest friends were from that. It was just such an easy way to get to know people. Same with college. A lot of the lads that I was playing ball with, they're lads that I got really close to. So it is a really good way of just getting to know people.
But the main thing behind this series is obviously the difference in club and county. But it's not to ask the questions that people have been asked a million times, like who's the toughest player you marked and who's your favourite this, and you could probably Google those questions and you get an answer for them. It's probably to kind of show that there's more to GAA players in their lives as opposed to just playing for their country. And just thanks again for taking your time to come and see me.
No worries, it's a pleasure.
And you're quite open. I think it's good that you're open about you've been dropping panels trying to get back into it and that, because I think I'm not sure if it's an Irish thing or a GAA thing. No one wants to tell anyone secrets, or no one wants to talk about the negative things that happen in their lives, and you've been quite open saying I got dropped, this is why I got dropped, but this is what I'm going to try and do to get back in. And it's massively important, especially if you're talking to younger players, that there are only so many positions on a county team, and you don't have to hang your hat and say if I don't make county that's it. And as younger players, I think they put so much pressure on themselves to I want to be Shane Walsh or I want to be David Clifford or someone. Like there is the enjoyment. I think that's the most important thing, as we were saying earlier on, the enjoyment element of it. And if you have yourself here in Galway doing the same thing for the lads in Spiddal, I'm not sure what people think about me, but trying to promote the fun aspect of the games. And look, if you are going on to more serious, then you can get involved with coaching and gym work and that. But I think I had like a 13-year-old ask me, what's a good top speed for a 13-year-old? Forget about it. Forget about it. Go and kick a few balls. I suppose we're out on the 45 now. We'll have another challenge here. We'll see that there is a big gush of wind going across the pitch there, so we'll see how we get on.
Nice one.
Big boot now for the 45. It's definitely been the windiest. Folia's pitch there was windy too, but I don't think it was as strong as this. So I'll let you're going instep or going outside the boot?
I'll stay at the instep and I'll go outside as well.
Yeah, I think it suits a right-footed kicker coming out this way into that corner.
Yeah, I'll go to the free. Or will I be?
Don't mind the camera. You take your technique. It'll get you kicking anyway. Score! Great score. I'm afraid you're going to win. Nope. About 35 in a good day.
Come in!
Oh, you
That's
bastard.
better though. Didn't curl, you'd expect it to win.
I kind of fucking hit it, punted it that time. I was focused more on distance.
Yeah.
Next thing I know, I'll drop it short and be accurate.
I'll go one more instep because I got the last.
Yeah. Oh, it's a dinger. Black spot. Lovely. What a score. I'm not sure if it's showing up on the camera, but that is a savage wind and going across. That's an unreal kick for a left footed instep. Fucking short and wide.
I'll give the people what they want. They want the outside the boot.
Yeah. Ah, pinger. 3 from 3 in the 45. I left to the 45 to show me up completely. I go myself outside the right and see how I get on.
You have that?
Short. 0 from 3 from me, 3 from 3 from Antaine. So you're saying there that you play hurling as well, you're a dual club here in Spiddal. How do you manage that load during the week then as well, and how do you manage the schedule?
Yeah, we're actually lucky enough that it's all in the one club. So the managers have a good relationship as well, so they're always like, they do organise it well. But let's say if it's a hurling week, what we'll train football and hurling for an hour on Tuesday, so it's the same day. So at least you're not coming down to the pitch like 4 or 5 times. And then we'll say on the Thursday beforehand, we'll do like an hour of hurling and then maybe half an hour of football, just a light kickabout. And then for the following week, then for the football, we'll do an hour on the Tuesday, then we'll do an hour of football on the Thursday, and then maybe a light puck around then on the Thursday.
That's interesting. And just with the amount of trainings you're doing, is it more skill-based stuff you're working on, especially week of championship, or is there a certain element that you obviously have to get some hard work in, but not to kill players? How do they kind of manage the load? Obviously, it comes down to management.
Yeah, it is. Like, it can be hard to manage because, you know, like, we do have a match every weekend, but not necessarily, like, not everyone will necessarily play the full match. So it can be hard to manage that. So sometimes we'll have maybe extra runs after a game, or you would say on a Tuesday for the lads that maybe didn't play at the odd time, but it can be hard to manage. But I suppose like the fact we have a championship match every weekend, we're probably not doing much conditioning work really in between. It is just match-based stuff and skill work. Yeah.
So just touching on conditioning in season, like I think majority of people now are still in. Unfortunately, I'm done now myself. What tips do you have for players if they are feeling that condition isn't where it needs to be this time of year? What would you say is a good idea that they could do?
Well, like a lot of mistakes that people do is like they feel like they're not fit enough, and they'll do all these extra running sessions outside of their training sessions. And one, they'll be drained, and secondly, you're more likely to pick up an injury, and it's going to negatively impact your performance. So what I would say is that you could actually, depending on the load, you could have top-up runs after training if you haven't done that much. Or you could do extra conditioning work, so that would be lower intensity work.
Yeah.
So that would be like building your aerobic base and zone 2 training. And I think that's an area that a lot of GAPers probably don't get enough of it in, you know, building that aerobic base, because it's not taxing on the body. You'll actually probably even improve recovery between your training sessions, but you're also getting fitter. So you're getting 2 birds with 1 stone there.
And just touching on top-up runs there, for someone who mightn't understand what that is, can you give an example of what a top-up run session would be? Or an idea, or some idea of what it would?
Yeah, so it could be, it could be like 80 meters. It could be like 80 meter sprints, you know, going like, or even 70 meter sprints, 15 minutes on, 15 minutes out. You know, the mass runs that you might do, and it wouldn't be a lot. No, you could have 2 sets, and you could have maybe 6 or 8 runs in each set. you know, it would probably take you about 10-15 minutes if you felt like you needed that extra bit at the end of training session. But like the most important thing would be actually your work rate in training, and ensuring that you're working really hard. Your intensity there is in your training, because match game scenarios is probably the best way to get fit, you know. So ensuring that you're working really hard in that, and if you need them few top up runs afterwards, you can do it.
Yeah, and that's really important as well. Like for top up runs, it's not a case you're doing 100 lengths of the pitch and you're absolutely bursting yourself. As well, it's a great point you touched on there, that your intensity in training is so important. That if you're a 5 out of 10 in training and you're adding in another top up session of a 5 out of 10 intensity, you're not going to get the benefits from it. Or sometimes you need to, if you're always beating me in runs and I'm always beating Mick, but if I'm always racing against Mick and never test myself against you, I'm never going to get any better. Whereas same with you against someone else, if you're always behind someone and you're not sure if you're going to beat them or not, you're going to get more benefit trying to beat that person, as opposed to staying comfortable beating your buddy because you have a bit of a chat, a bit of a laugh, and you don't go home too tired because you might have a game in a week's time. I think training intensity, and same in the gym as well, is, I think it's one of the biggest mistakes is where I'm seeing from working with people online and training people, that it's not pushing themselves hard enough. And I think obviously there's a time and place to hold yourself back. If you're like 2 days for a championship, you're not going to absolutely kill yourself. But early on in the year, when you maybe have 2 weeks between games, or even in championship you have 2 weeks between games, if you're pushing for a championship place, and if the manager sees you scuttling about the place during a training session and everyone else is bursting themselves really hard, like, you have to put it in. For 45 intense minutes in a training session is going to be more beneficial than doing 3 hours, going a 4 out of 10, doing an out 5k here, 10k there, thinking yourself that you're great, then you can't even get up and down the pitch. So that's great advice there for any player, not even younger players, that put it in while you're training, and then afterwards you can add in the zone 2 work on the bike or anything like that. We've done the shooting challenges. You really showed me up here on the 45. We'll maybe have a race or two and see how we get on this one. Right. Ball in hand there. John, just swing her over there and we'll walk into the goals. Watch on the spot now.
Go outside.
Go again. Go outside. We go outside and see how you get on. Ah, what a score! Beautiful, beautiful. Right, so as I was saying, Antaine made an absolute holy show me in the shooting, and even just when there wasn't even a shooting challenge, he split the post there with that last shot. Well, thank you again for taking your time to come see me. I'm back in where I used to live in Galway for 4 years, so it's nice to come back and have the wind blowing my hair all over the place.
No, it's been good. It's been good.
Just to finish up, we're going to have a 21-metre sprint, and we maybe have a 45-metre sprint depending on how this one gets on. So I'll let you do the countdown. Do you want me to do the countdown?
You can do the countdown.
Perfect. So just to reiterate, and we all know we're on the same page, we're going to go 3, 2, 1 and go.
Yeah.
1 on go.
Okay.
Right. Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. Right, I'm getting absolutely embarrassed today, and let me at my one strong point for 20-metre sprint. We're going to test the 45 and see how far off the pace I am. And I'm going to go home today with my tail between my legs after losing another challenge. Safe to say today, Antaine and Spiddal have won the challenge. I'm going to go another counter. I'm not even going to ask you who's I'm counting this one down. We'll go 3, 2, 1. We'll go and go, and hopefully I'm not too far away on the 45-metre sprint. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. You quick thicker, yeah. Cheers. Thanks very much.
Good stuff.
I was just trying to keep it, Jazz. Like I can see you getting further away. We know Roman Reigns can reel today.
No.